Cross-site request forgery is one of the least understood vulnerability by developers. We'll see in this demo how an attacker can transfer money from a victim to his own account. First, we're going to log in as Sarah Connor. And proceed to her accounts. She has two accounts, the 95 account and the 96 account. We'll copy the second one and we'll click here. So this is the page where we can transfer money, right? So from the 95 account to the 96, we can transfer $2. So when you click on submit, operation successful, we see that $2 have been transferred from one account to the other one. Let's try this again, but this time I'm going to use a web proxy and I will intercept the request like this. So here we can see that the browser is making a get HTTP request to the big bank / funds transfer function. Okay, so it's getting this page, and while doing this, the browser is passing two variables. The first one, the target account, okay, where we want to send the money to, and the amount of money being sent, $2. But in order for this to succeed, we also need two other variables here. Okay, the first one, the session ID, is required by the server in order to identify the user making the transaction. So with this session ID, the server can check his session table and see, for example, if the user is logged in and if the user has enough money in his account for the transfer. We also need the user ID, which is 9 for Sarah Connor. But before I click on forward this request, I've built a web page like this one in order to exploit this vulnerability. First, in this section here, it's just a cascading style sheet to format the page. I also have a bunch of new line, and I have here an image which is a snapshot of the Google search page. The important part is here. So we think it's an image, but really it isn't. Okay, it's a 1 pixel by 1 pixel image that won't be able to load. But by using this trick, we can make the browser send a request to this URL, which is bigbank.com. And as we saw earlier, okay, we are making this request with these parameters, right? So back here, funds transfer, and we're passing two variables. The first one, it's Sarah Connor's 95 account, and the second parameter is the amount being transferred, which is $1,000. But if you remember, we need two more pieces of information, the session ID and the user ID, which we don't know. And we don't know what the victim will have, right? Because every time it's different and it's very hard to guess value. So, but we're lucky because the browser will add these two pieces of information automatically. But for this to happen, the victim must be logged in, right? It's very important. So if the victim logs out or the session times out, then this attack will not succeed, right? And you may already know that a cross-site request forgery token is required in order to prevent this attack. And here we see that we can't see one, so it's easy for an attacker to see that this page is vulnerable. Okay, so I'm going to forward this request, turn off my proxy, And if I go back to my web page, indeed, $2 more were transferred, right? But now I need to find a way for my victim to browse to this page. This page is hosted on the attacker's computer, which is usually not a good idea in real life because it's a sure way to get caught after, right? But for this demo, we see that the attacker is located on this IP address, so 55.104, okay? And we want the victim to browse to google.html page. So let's switch to another browser. It's John Smith browser. Gonna log in. We don't want that. Good. And we can see John has more than $4,000 in his account. So again, we need to find a way for John to click to visit our evil google.html page. We can do this usually by sending, like, for example, a phishing attack. An example could be that click here to, for example, to change your password because our system tells us that your password has expired. Okay, click on this link to reset your password. So when John clicks on this link, he will go to this IP / remember, right? So as soon as he hit enter or click on the link, okay, you will see something like this, okay? So obviously this is not resetting a password, but maybe the user will think he's made a mistake or something like that, okay? The important thing is the victim has visited this HTML page. So if we go back here, and also, as I said earlier, John has not logged out, right? So if I refresh, you see that $1,000 is missing from his account. So if we go back here to Sarah Connor's account, we refresh, and $1,000 has been added. Why? Because obviously that's her account number here, right? And that's the information that we provided in our page. So, and guess what? If the victim, John Smith here, visit this page again or click on this link again, then another $1,000 has been transferred to Sarah Connor's account. So I hope that was enough to show you that it's very important to have cross-site request forgery tokens in synchronization tokens in your page, because even if as we saw earlier, John is using HTTPS, it doesn't protect at all against this kind of attack. Thank you very much.